Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of the Metabolism and Menopause podcast. My name is Stephanie, and I am your host and CEO of Vitality OET. We are a women's nutrition, health, and fitness company that focuses predominantly on women's hormones, particularly as they start going through perimenopause and onwards. We know that you start experiencing so many changes in this time of your life, whether it be hot flashes, night sweats, irritability, brain fog, or that weight gain around the middle that seems to have come out of absolutely nowhere despite you not changing anything. So you go back to your tried and true methods of cutting calories, cutting carbs, doing a bunch of cardio, yet nothing seems to be working. In fact, you are putting in all this effort and it feels like you're actually moving backwards. But we know now that your body is inherently different now that you've gone through some hormonal changes. So our mission here at Vitality is to help you understand how your body changes in this time in your life, so you can reach those health and fitness goals, feel in control and at home in your body again, live a life full of vitality, and really understand how to take care of this new body of yours. So today, I want to talk about the 7 steps to help you hit your fat loss goals if you're perimenopausal, if you're menopausal, postmenopausal, because we always talk to women who are like, I've tried this, I've tried that, I've tried this, I've tried that. And we need a plan. We need to make sure it's something that's sustainable. And I want to give you the tools that we work with our clients to help them see success and the things that us ourselves as coaches actually use. And I'm going to share with you what I'm doing. So what I'm going to be doing on my journey at the time that I'm recording this. I am so close to my due date. We're due any day now. But when this comes out, we will have had our baby already. So I want to, share a little bit, be vulnerable, what my plan is, and give you some tangible examples that are real life, realistic, and attainable, and show you how to make this happen. Okay. So I want you to first think of your goal. And now we're going to focus on achieving that in 6 to 12 months, which I know all of you are like, what? No, I want to lose 30 pounds in 2 months. That's not going to happen. I'm going to be super blunt with you. Not going to happen, not sustainable. You're not going to keep it off. You're going to lose an extreme amount of muscle if you do it that way, but you're also going to gain it back. And we don't do that here. We teach you how to lose weight, keep yourself healthy, and also keep it off. That is the goal, is to not be on this up and down for the rest of your life. You lose the weight, you keep it off. That's the goal. This is what we're going to teach you, okay? And I want to help you learn how to keep it off. And how are you going to actually make sure you reach that goal and then maintain that goal? Because that's the other part of it. And let's face it, it's not just going to happen on accident, okay? Especially once we hit our perimenopausal years, especially if we're dealing with hormone issues, which I have dealt with for a very, very, very large part of my life. We need to be intentional. We need to be specific on how we approach things. So again, I'm going to give you the 7 steps that we use with women to help them reach their goals, myself included. This is how I'm going to reach mine. In fact, I'm going to really get quite vulnerable with some of this stuff to help you understand how it works. So let's just dive right into this. First thing first, we need to set our goals, and there's 2 different types. So there is our achievement goal, our result, and then our habit goals. Okay, so the achievement goal, that is your big kind of scary thing that you want at the end of it, the big thing that you are trying to achieve. And for most of us on a health journey, this is going to involve a lot about who we want to be at the end of this, where do we see ourselves. This is that big outcome, that big result, like a clothing size. For an example's sake. Then we have our habit goals. And this is something that we want to get in the habit of doing that is happening regularly, daily, weekly, monthly, to help us get to that end outcome, that big result that we are looking for. There's no big achievement at the end of these milestones, okay? These are goals that we need to accomplish to ensure we get to that big result that you are looking for, okay? So habit goals, big achievement result goal, okay? So we have all these little goals to help us achieve said outcome. So in order to become that outcome or get that outcome, usually it's, being more fit, being a certain size, whatever that might be, we also have to think about what things do I have to do to become that person that has those things, that has that outcome. Because what you're doing right now, who you are right now, is not the person who has that result. So therefore, you actually have to change, right? So do this for yourself, but I also want you to do this with me. Okay, so set the outcome goal that you want. Most of you can probably think of it, okay? And we're going to be aiming for 6 to 12 months. Let's just be realistic right off the hop. I want to set you up for success. Okay, this is going to take some time. So for myself, I want to be what the internet says is a quote unquote muscle mommy. So what does that mean? I want to have muscle. I want to be strong. Sorry, I should rephrase that. I will be strong and I will have more muscle. So I am, not saying I want something. I'm saying I will be something that is more powerful, more empowering. It gives me, like, just saying it that way makes me feel more confident versus I want versus I will or I am. That gives you a whole different kind of energy. So language is important here. So once you have your big outcome goal, whatever that might be, now we need to get a lot more specific, okay? We need to structure this properly. So I'm sure many of you have heard of SMART goals, right? So be specific, be measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. So a specific goal is one that is very clearly defined in such a way that anyone can understand what the intended outcome is. So for example, I said, I want to be a strong muscle mommy. That is not specific enough. That could mean a billion things to a bunch of different people, correct? So I need to be more specific with that. It has to be measurable. So having a way to measure your goal, your metrics, they should be pretty straightforward, easy to follow, easy to see. Am I actually getting closer to where I want to be? So we usually like to use numbers for this. So simply saying that you want to quote unquote look better, be more fit, be more toned, be more strong, that's not measurable, right? How do you know once you're there? You don't. It's too subjective. So maybe we're looking at reducing total body fat percentage. Maybe we are, looking at an energy scale. So you're rating your energy day to day, hours that you're asleep. Maybe it's total inches lost. Maybe it's blood work improvements, right? There's lots of different metrics that you can use. For attainability, the goal needs to be challenging. That big result that you want has to be challenging, but not extreme. Okay? You must be able to achieve this goal realistically in your set amount of time. So while your ultimate goal should be big and scary and exciting, it shouldn't be completely out to lunch or make it feel like it's impossible to get to. We want to be realistic. So a goal must represent an objective toward which you are both willing and able to work towards. So remember, ask yourself, how much time and sacrifice are you actually willing to make? Are you willing to potentially decrease your alcohol? Are you willing and wanting and committing yourself to going to the gym, to having breakfast, to having protein, to tracking food? Are you willing to do those things? If you're not, then we probably have to adjust your goal. And then timely. So this means the goal needs to have an end date. Okay, so for the purpose of today, that end date would be 6 months to 12 months, like pick a date. Okay, you can create any timeline you want, but make sure it has an end date for you. Otherwise, you're just gonna quote unquote try, but never really commit enough to actually get you to where you wanna be, right? We're all trying to eat healthier. We're all trying to exercise more. We're all trying to prioritize sleep. We're all trying to get enough protein. We're all trying to focus on de-stressing. But are you? You either are or you are not. There's not this like trying thing. Yes, you need to try, but are you doing it or are you not doing it? And how do you know? Because I tell people all this, people tell me this all the time. Oh, I have my calories set at this. I'm like, cool, send me your tracking information. Because it's great that you have a goal, but are you or are you not hitting those targets? And then they send me their information. So for example, I had a lady not that long ago, by the time you listen to this, it'll be like 2 months, who was like, I'm aiming for 1,500 calories a day, and I'm trying to get over 100 grams of protein. I'm like, send it over. 56 grams of protein one day, 75 grams of protein the next, 60 grams of protein the next day. Calories were 1,300 one day, 1,700 the next. Then she hit her 1,500, then to 2,100. And I'm like, okay, so it's great that you have this goal, but are you ever looking back and like checking, am I actually doing this? Because you can try all you want, but if you're not doing it, it doesn't matter. And this is where it needs to be measurable and specific, because otherwise, you could be like, oh, I'm trying to dig a hole to China. I don't know. When's the last time you picked up that shovel? You can say you're trying all you want, but are you doing the things? Yes or no? It's very clear cut and dry that way. And a lot of people don't love that, but it's the reality of the situation. So let's take my example. I want to have more muscle, and I will have more muscle, but what does that mean to me? Because what that means to me might be different than what it means to you, what it means to my coach, right? So to me, that is not a size. I don't give a crap about the size. I do not give a crap about the weight on the scale, which I know sounds shocking. I want to have definition in my arms again. I've lost a lot of muscle mass in my arms throughout this pregnancy. I want my back to be muscular again. I want my legs to have the very clear definition in my quads again and my glutes. I want to see it. But before I start, I do need to, make some measurements. Because if I want to put on muscle mass, I'm probably going to see my circumferences grow. That's good. I want that, right? And you can tell if it's more fluffy or if it's muscle, right? Like you can tell that. So I'm going to take some measurements before I start the plan, because right now I'm just due any day now, right? So I'll take some measurements before I'm starting and then set some goals as to what that looks like and what I want to grow to, right? I want to grow specific areas of my body. Secondly, I said I want to get strong. So how do I measure that? What does that mean? Strength is different to everyone, right? So I want to get back to some of the big lifting that I used to do prior to getting pregnant. I want to be able to do 6 pull-ups, like strict pull-ups. I want to be able to do 15 push-ups and hold 3 seconds at the bottom for each. I am going to aim to build a program so that I am barbell bench pressing 135 pounds for 4 reps again. I want to barbell deadlift 245 pounds for 10 reps. Back squat 95 pounds for 10 reps. The reason this isn't higher is because I have a lot of hip and knee problems. So I'm being, again, realistic. Would I want more? Absolutely. If I hit this, I'm going to be happy. Barbell row. I want to do 135 pounds for 8 repetitions. Barbell reverse lunges, 135 pounds for 6 reps per leg. So it's a very specific, very measurable, very easy to see. Am I getting closer, further away from those goals? And I know that by getting stronger and doing those things, I'm going to get closer to the physique that I want. The other things that I need to do to accomplish these, right? Because I have this big result, this muscle mummy look that I'm looking for, right? The strength and the muscle. There are other things, habits that I need to achieve in order to reach that. Because let's face it, exercise isn't enough, right? So this means I need to become a person who works out regularly 3 days a week. Otherwise, this will not happen. I need to lift heavy. I need to follow a progressive overload program for 4 to 6 weeks and adjust what that looks like to help me achieve those things. I need to eat 130 grams plus of protein a day. This will require me to eat enough food to build muscle and be at maintenance or slightly above, because you cannot build muscle in a calorie deficit. It is physiologically impossible, especially for women of perimenopausal age who have hormone issues. Will not happen. Okay, so I will be eating 22 to 2,400 calories plus a day. We'll see how my body's responding, but that's where my maintenance was prior to getting pregnant. So that's probably where I'm going to be again. I need to make sure that I eat pre-workout, so I'm not working out fasted. and I'm having a post-workout snack or meal. Again, to help really push that muscle building signal. Because with hormone changes and everything that I'm going through, my muscle breakdown signal will be higher than my muscle building signal. So I need to make sure I am doing all the things to really amplify the muscle building and decrease the muscle breakdown signal as best as I can. I will also need to make sure that I am recovering enough. So this means I absolutely 100% have to prioritize my sleep. A study just showed that women who get less sleep, we're talking 5.5 to like 6 hours a night versus someone who gets 7.5 to 8+ hours a night. The women who get less sleep lose more muscle mass, they gain more fat mass, and the women who sleep more. So the sleep is a non-negotiable that I have to prioritize. And yeah, having a baby, that's going to be hard. So this is going to be something I really need to focus on. I need to be realistic, right? I also will need to plan my food intake and my workout sessions because it is not going to happen on accident. I am inherently lazy, okay? I don't want to go work out. I used to love working out. Don't love it as much anymore. But I need to schedule these things and prioritize the planning of my food and my workout sessions. Otherwise, this literally will never happen. I will not reach my goals. That is being bluntly realistic, okay? This also means I'm probably not going to be drinking alcohol because that's also going to implicate my ability to be able to put on muscle mass. It's going to kill my gut microbiome. I'm going to have more bloating. That's going to negatively affect my sleep. It's going to negatively affect my estrogen and testosterone levels. It can trigger my PCOS to come back and get worse. So it has to be specific and realistic. And if I'm not willing to do these things, if I do not do these things, I will not reach my goal. And that can seem like super harsh, but like it's the reality of the situation. Is it specific and measurable? Yes, I will measure my progress with pictures and with measurements. I will track the weight lifted in the gym and follow my program. I will track how much sleep I'm getting using my Oura Ring. I will be doing nutrition tracking and planning with my Fitness Pal and using our online tracker that we use with clients. And I'm probably going to have a coach to keep me accountable. Notice how I have no scale number because that means nothing. Okay, the way I looked at 145 pounds pre-pregnancy and 145 pounds at 5 months pregnant look totally different. Scale was the same. Doesn't matter. I care more about body composition. I could lose 10 pounds and not reach my goals, or I could gain 10 pounds, look freaking amazing, feel strong, and actually achieve the goals that I want. The scale does not matter here. Is it attainable? Yes. Is it realistic? Yes. Is it timely? Yes. I would love to achieve this by my birthday in March, which gives me time to work on everything I need. Sleep, nutrition, exercise, especially post-baby. That's going to take some time. So that gives me 7 months. But if it takes a full year, if it takes until July of 2025, I'm actually 100% okay with that. Because if I can spend more time eating food and building muscle and getting lean and looking good that way, instead of restricting myself and killing myself with cardio and not sleeping and not feeling good, yeah, I'm going to choose the first option and spend a year doing it. That's way more fun. And I'm going to look way better doing that. So beyond these SMART goals, there are other considerations or realistic goal setting that you need to focus on. So the first one is you need to know your motivations. Because for most of us, just looking good isn't enough, right? Otherwise, if it was enough, you'd be motivated and you'd be there already, right? So we're not there. Probably not enough. So why do you want to achieve these goals? Like really? And how will you feel achieving those goals? Write that down. How will you feel once you reach those goals? I will feel strong. I will feel fit, resilient. I'll probably get sick a lot less often. I will look healthier. My lab markers will be better. And I'm going to be sleeping well. And I'm going to feel confident and being able to keep up with my family. So how will you feel achieving that goal? Knowing why you're doing the things in the first place will help you reach that goal, will help you stick to the process, even when things get hard, when we don't have that motivation, because motivation is waning. We're really motivated and excited the first month, 2 months, right? And then we realize it's going to take a lot longer. And we didn't lose 30 pounds in 2 months. And now we're like, oh, is it worth it? I don't really want to. I don't feel like it. Relying on motivation is insane because it's not consistent and not in your control. So having your why will help you stick to it even on days where you don't quote unquote want to. So for me, my why do I want to achieve this muscle mommy? Why do I want to put on muscle mass? Why do I want to be fit and strong? Because I feel my best when I am strong. Not even when I'm at my leanest. I'm talking when I am strong, I feel so good. It also has helped me so much in this pregnancy compared to other people that I know. Having all this extra muscle mass has prevented me from having blood sugar issues, from having a ton of weight gain. It's helped me stay mobile and have less pain compared to others. It's really set me up for success. So I also know that I want to have more kids in the future. So I know that the stronger I am, it's not only going to benefit me and my pregnancy, but it's also going to benefit my child that I'm growing inside my body. The healthier and stronger I am, the better that baby is going to be off, right? I also want to be so freaking strong for my family, to be able to keep up, to not get sick, to be healthy, to lead by example. Leading by example so that my kids can learn how to eat, how to be active, what health really looks like. Because they are going to learn from myself and Taylor before they learn from anybody else. And I don't know how many years I have on this earth. I mean, I lost my mom suddenly out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. She got sick and was gone 3 weeks later. And was she super healthy? Not at that point, there was lots of things that could have changed. She had a lot of stress in her life, stuff like that. And I mean, she got healthier. But it always makes you wonder if, maybe if she would have ate better earlier. Maybe she wouldn't have gotten this colon cancer that spread and took her life. I don't know how much time I have left. And I want to be able to, with the limited time that I have here, to be my healthiest and my happiest and be there for my family and be able to create these memories that they can look back on. Where they don't remember me being sick all the time or struggling or depressed and not having energy or being on the sidelines or, having surgeries and all these things. I want them to remember me running around with them and doing the things and being active and having the energy and not having to be run down, to show up as the best version of myself for them, So on days where I don't want to, I can remind myself that this isn't just for me. This is for my family. And I will keep that reminder in my phone. So when I block out time for a workout, it's going to say workout for, and then our son's name. When I have a meal planning, it will say meal plan for health for Taylor and our children. Having those little things will help you so much. And it's not to guilt yourself, but it reminds you of why you're doing this, putting it on a sticky note on your mirror, whatever it is. Because I might not be motivated to do it for myself. I might be good enough, right? But I know that if I'm talking about my son and my family and my husband, it's a lot easier to want to stick to it because they are far too important than for me to just rely on motivation alone. Because my family is going to mean everything to me, right? I would do anything for them. And that includes showing up as the best version of myself. For myself, yes, but also for them, which I think is really important. And I want that to be part of my legacy. So you need to figure out, what is your true why? Maybe it's that you don't want to be remembered like your parents were in the hospital fighting whatever chronic conditions they were having. Maybe it's that you are, avoiding diabetes because you've had some scares or it runs in your family, right? So you could have meal planning to avoid diabetes, Maybe it's exercise for whatever, your husband, your wife, your whoever. But put those things in there. Figure out why you're doing it. So it's never just to look good. Yes, you want to look good, but usually there's something deeper than that. And it can be uncomfortable to dig deep in there, but just keep asking, why is this important? So it's like, I want to lose weight. Why? So if you feel more confident, why is that important? Then you'll answer, why is that important? And eventually you'll get there. And that's what you're putting on your mirror. That's what you're putting in your reminders in your phone. That's what you're putting in your schedule. That's what matters. Okay. The next one is, think about your next steps. Many of us make these huge goals, which are very exciting, right? And that's good. We should be aspiring to reach big goals, but we do have to be realistic. However, the problem is many of us, we never break it down. We never break it down to the smaller steps that we need to take in order to get there. It's like, I want to go live on Mars. Cool. What's step number 1? We don't know. Right? So we need to make sure that we're breaking things down as small as we can to realistically get us to where we want to be. I remember reading in a book, it was like a movie. I don't remember. Anyways, the whole premise was like, he was helping his mom and she was saying she wanted to have a bookshelf in her house. And she had stuff all over, whatever. And he's like, hey, what's the logical first step? And he's like, well, what size of bookshelf do you need? And she's like, well, I don't know. I don't have a tape measure. So the logistical step number 1 was she needed to get a tape measure so she could measure how big the shelf needed to be. Then they measured and I was like, okay, what's the next logical step? It's like, okay, well, I need to make room because there's boxes everywhere. So they had to move the boxes. Then it was, okay, now I need to save money to purchase the shelf. Then I need to buy tools to put the shelf together because I don't have tools. So it's like, the reason she never went out and bought a shelf was because she didn't have a tape measure, things weren't cleaned, and she didn't have the tools. Whereas most people would be like, oh, just go buy the bookshelf. But that wasn't the problem. So you need to be able to break it down into all these smaller pieces. So this is where those little habit goals that are measurable will get you to that big outcome that you were looking for, right? So this is where I talked about, I need to have a nutrition plan, which honestly, I'm probably going to have one of my coaches help me with for accountability. This is where I need to time block and have my gym stuff ready to go by the door. This is where I am going to meal plan and prep with Taylor every weekend. And I'm going to communicate the importance to my husband as to why this is so important to me. I mean, he's very supportive and he knows that I want to do this anyways and it's good and he'll support me and help me so I can do this. But like having that communication with the people in your household to explain why this is so important and like giving them your true why, not just I want to lose weight and feel better. Like, why is that so important? If you can communicate that to the people in your life who can help support it, that's going to make you more likely to do it because then you have more accountability, more support, and they're going to be more willing to help. So have those conversations because I know Taylor's going to fully support me on this. And that's the best feeling in the world. And then the next thing also is, how are you going to reward yourself? Which like, I know a lot of people are like, what? How are you going to reward yourself? Celebrating your wins is a crucial part of this journey. And like we here at Vitality with our clients, we're huge on celebrations. We celebrate people all the time. We send little gifts. Like it's a big deal to celebrate what you've done. So instilling a positive outcome by reinforcing it with a conscious celebration will help your brain feel better about doing the things. It'll help with that motivation that is ever so waning and help you achieve other goals in the future because you're rewarding yourself. Okay, and this shouldn't be like, oh, when I lose 10 pounds, then I'll do this. It's like, no, we're rewarding the habits. So did you do 30 days of hitting your nutrition goals? With our clients, we do, did you get your 10 check-ins done in a row? That's amazing. That shows consistency of you showing up and communicating with your coach. That's obviously going to help you become more successful, right? We're going to celebrate those things. Are you hitting your protein goals? Are you getting your 3 workouts in a week? You want to give yourself rewards for achieving the consistency in those habits, not the end outcome. Okay. So I have Lululemon gift cards. I have lots. I have some that I've had for a while. And after I hit some of those lifting goals, I'm going to go treat myself to some new Lululemon. Maybe I'm going to have a little dinner out once I hit that lifting goal. Maybe it's if I hit 30 days in a row of my nutrition, then we're going to go out for a nice dinner. But the biggest reward that I want to do is this time next year, I want to go hiking out in the mountains in Alberta, in the Rockies, with our little one, with Taylor. And I don't want to have Taylor carry him the entire time. I want to be able to do that. I want to be strong enough to carry our son, to make those memories. And like, will I carry him the whole way? Probably not. We'll take turns, right? But I don't want it to be like this super crazy, hard, challenging thing. I want to feel confident that I can do that. And getting stronger is part of that. And that's also going to be a reward that, hey, I get to do this with my family. And we created memories and we took photos and we enjoyed our time together. And, that's something I really want to do. So reward yourself for achieving these things. Not that big outcome, for achieving the habits and casting ballots for that person that you are becoming. And there are so many goals that you can use, right? So like I said, you can have the habits stuff, but like you also have those big outcome goals, whether that's, having some health markers improve in your labs. Maybe it's losing some inches. Maybe it's improving your food quality. We're having less sugar, more veggies, less processed foods, having more protein, improving your energy, your sleep, decreasing hormonal symptoms. So like we have a hormonal symptom assessment we do with all our clients in our program, and they take it when they come in, before they go into fat loss, and then afterwards, and when they're done the program, we can see how much better they're doing. And that's huge, 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 huge. So now once you've determined like those big goals that you have for the next 6 to 12 months, how are you going to stick to them? Right? This is the problem everyone always tells me. How do I stick to them when my motivation wanes? Well, we have our big why. We post it everywhere, put it in our phones, all those things. But there are other steps that you are going to be able to utilize to, make sure that you have consistency throughout the journey to hit that next milestone, to get you closer to that big result that you were looking for. So I want you to think about those habits just like casting a vote for that person that you're going to become, right? So our goals are that exact same thing. We are casting votes for that person that we want to be, who is the person who is lighter, who is stronger, who is healthier, whatever it may be, right? So let's talk about these things, right? Because it's a very successful quote. We don't rise to the levels of our goals, right? We fall to our habits, the level of our habits. So we need to make sure we have those habits in place in order to become successful. Because when things get tough, we're going to fall to those levels of where our habits are. So developing those habits are what's going to help you in the future. So how can we kind of set ourselves up for success? Number 1, put yourself in successful situations. Okay, there are several secrets to success in building good habits and reaching your goals. And despite what we think, it's not having more willpower. People who are very successful, this has been studied, do not have more willpower than people who are not successful. They simply put themselves in positions to be more successful, to be more quote unquote lucky, right? So what does that mean? You're reducing friction on the way to get to the goal that you want to achieve, right? This means putting yourself in an environment that will make you more successful, not battling through environments that encourage you to do the opposite of what you want to be doing. So for example, alcoholics who get clean, that didn't happen by hanging out with people who are drinking all the time or sitting in bars, right? They put themselves in communities and in programs and surround themselves with people who are doing the things that they want to do, right? Same with, oh man, I'm going to sneeze. Give me 1 second. Okay, 3. I think we're good. Okay. Think about people in careers who are very high up. They put themselves in rooms with people who are successful to learn from the best, right? You're putting yourself in an environment to make you more successful. So this can mean like having healthy foods ready and prepped in your house. You have your meal preps for your lunch already organized, even if you're working from home. So you're less tempted to eat out or just to have a bowl of cereal, right? Take the candy that you absently just like mindlessly grab out of your desk drawers and put something else in there, you know? This also includes people, which is really, really hard. Because you want to put yourself in a position where you are having positive influences towards your goals, right? So Taylor and I were actually talking about this after church. So one day, because we were talking about a sermon that we watched, and it was talking about like, you can't influence who your kids hang out with, or you can't influence who their friends are, right? But you can influence what they're exposed to, what they learn, who they're around. So what is the community that you want to expose them to, right? So that's a tough one, right? So how can you expose yourself to better situations or, take yourself out of situations and environments that aren't conducive for your health and your goals? And sometimes just having a conversation with people is enough. But I mean, I've gone through a season of like pruning, if you want to call it that, where I'm not seeing certain people as much because, they're not supportive towards my goals. They don't feel good afterwards. They push drinking alcohol, things like that, and it's now people know that I don't really drink. I mean, obviously being pregnant, I'm not drinking right now anyways, but I'm not a big drinker. People don't pressure me to anymore. But there's people that like, as soon as I stop wanting to go out for drinks and stuff like that all the time, we just didn't have anything in common. My new version of myself didn't serve them anymore, which sucks. But sometimes you got to do that pruning to allow yourself to grow, right? We got to get rid of the weeds and fertilize, and we have to put better soil and things like that for things to grow. You're the exact same way. So put yourself in environments. This means physical environments, the people that you surround yourself with, the food that surrounds you. All those things are going to matter. I love sweets. I really do. There's a reason we don't have a ton in our house, because I'll open the pantry and be like, oh, there's nothing here. I'll open the fridge. Oh, there's nothing here. So then I end up having some like fruit and walnuts, much better than the chocolate bar that I would have devoured mindlessly, right? So it's just setting yourself up for success that way. The next one is what gets measured gets managed. Just like we measure different components of like your body every week, or we're using pictures, or you're using the scale, you have to find some way to measure your habits. So keeping a habit tracker, for example, can help you see your streaks and see your, keep your ideal goals in mind. So it's there every single day. So how are you going to track your habits? Are you tracking your nutrition? Are you tracking your workouts? Are you putting and how are you doing that? Are you checking off every day that you actually hit your goals? Or are you just oh, I'll try again tomorrow. I'll try again tomorrow. I'll try again tomorrow. And this is that whole concept of just trying, like I talked about, versus are you actually doing the thing or are you not doing the thing? That's what it really comes down to, yes or no. So you need to find a way to track it, whether that's using a calendar or apps or whatever it might be. And then you have to reflect back. How often are you reflecting back? Are you reaching your goals? Why or why not? And how can we ensure that you do? So you adjust the plan because you might have these nutrition goals that you're trying to hit and you never hit them. Yet you never do anything to assess and adjust to make sure that you do hit your goals. Oh, I'm still not hitting my protein. Oh, I'm still not hitting my protein. Oh, I'm still not hitting my protein. I'll just try harder tomorrow. And before you know it, 3 months have gone by and you haven't hit your freaking protein. Maybe we could have looked back after week 2 and been like, okay, how can I get more protein in my breakfast? That's where I'm going to start first. The following week, how can I add a little bit more protein to my lunch? Like, you need to reflect and review and adjust. Because if you just have these goals, but you're not tracking if you're hitting it or adjusting your plan when you're not, what are you doing? Nothing is going to change. Nothing is going to happen, and you are never going to reach your goals. And it makes me sad because this happens to women all the time. They'll message me, DM me, ask me for their calorie calculations and what their workout should look like. And they ask for a guide 6 months, 12 months later. I'm like, hey, how you been doing in your journey? You didn't keep me posted. Well, I'm trying, but nothing has happened yet. Nothing's working. Okay, send me your last few days of tracking. Nowhere near the goals that we set. So for a year, you've been trying to hit goals, but you never reflected back and adjusted to make sure you actually hit those goals. So of course you're not going to see changes. It's not going to work that way, right? The next one is making the habit that you want to do more appealing and the things that you don't want to do less appealing. So just like reducing some friction can make that path easier. So having your gym clothes already by the door, ready to go in the morning. So make it easier, more appealing, making good habits obvious to you, having fruit on the counter instead of a bowl of chocolates or chocolate almonds, right? Making sure like you have the things you want to do in plain sight and the things that you don't want to do kind of hidden, or there's like a barrier to be able to reach those things. So for myself, I am notorious for being terrible at drinking water. I have glasses of water and water bottles all over the place because then it's there and I'll see it and I'll drink water, right? Maybe it's having your vegetables cut and prepped in the fridge. Taylor does this. He cuts up the veggies and has it there. If I have to cut up a carrot, peel a carrot, cut up some veggies, I'm probably not going to do it unless it's watermelon because I freaking love watermelon. So that will get eaten. But otherwise, that extra step of just having to cut something to eat it, that's enough of a friction for me to not do it, which is crazy. I told you, inherently, I am lazy. So doing those things to make it easier, putting a Post-it note on your fridge of protein source ideas for snacks so it's easier to grab a balanced snack. Oh yeah, add some jerky to this. Oh yeah, have a turkey pepperoni stick. Have a hard-boiled egg. Those kinds of things versus you just open the fridge. You need to have those visual reminders to help you. Maybe you're making, quote unquote, healthier brownies, however you want to make them, right? And maybe you're keeping them in the freezer, cut up already into individual pieces so that it's harder to just sit there and eat a whole tray of brownies. My mom used to make the best brownies. Oh my goodness. I would eat a half a tray on my own easily. Obviously not doing that anymore because she's not around. But if we're having treats and stuff, I usually buy the individual things, or I cut them up and put them into smaller servings, try to freeze them. So if they're on the counter, I am going to destroy them. Those, those really gross, gross but delicious, but terrible for you, cookies from I think they're Pillsbury maybe. They have the Christmas trees at nighttime. They're already cut up and you just put them on the cookie tray. They're literally just butter and sugar. There's no nutritional value with those at all. If they are just out, I will literally eat the entire tray just because they're there. So you need to put some barriers in place so that doesn't happen, right? So maybe, you'll buy a toothpaste flavor that you like more. So it's more appealing to brush your teeth if you hate brushing your teeth, right? That's what we do with kids. We make the thing that they don't want to do seem more appealing, right? We are just like toddlers. So if making good habits should be more appealing, then making habits you want to reduce should be less appealing. So Example, keep snacks out of sight or just don't keep them in the house. I'm lazy. Like, we don't keep a lot of treats in the house, which is awesome because I'm also too lazy to go to the store and buy and grab them. So there's that. The next thing is to remember that this is like practicing a skill. It takes time to develop. So tracking food can seem very daunting. And, starting up in the gym with a new exercise routine that you've never done before can seem very daunting, right? It can seem overwhelming. But it's just a skill that you're developing. It takes time. It takes practice. Soon you'll be tracking food and it'll be so mindless. It'll be much easier to hit your protein targets, but it takes intentional practice and actually learning in order to get there. Okay? Just like your kid is not going to become great at dribbling a soccer ball unless they practice. You're never going to get better at nutritional literacy and tracking until you practice. And then eventually for him to like kick that little soccer ball around, it's super easy, right? Or dribbling a basketball. You don't have to think about it. It's there. The ball is there. It's completely mindless. It ends up being the same with nutrition. But it takes time to get to that point. So you need to view this as practicing a skill. Stacking habits, also very helpful. We are all busy. We are all busy people, right? And trying to add in something new can be like, I don't want to do this. I already have too much on my plate. So we're stacking it to something that you're already doing. So we pair a habit we want to do with something that we already do every day in our routine to make it easier. So maybe while you're waiting for your coffee to brew, you're drinking a glass of water. Or you're having your breakfast like you should be. You should not be having coffee on an empty stomach. Or maybe you are, when you're waiting for something to warm up in the microwave, you're doing some squats. I don't know. You're adding things to what you already do every single day and making it easier to do the things that you want to do. So before you go to the restroom, maybe you do an extra lap or two around your kitchen before you go to get a couple extra steps in. Just little things like that can go a really long way, So the next one is a huge one. This is a very big rule that everyone should follow. Never fall off twice in a row. Okay? We don't want to break that habit streak twice. So let's say that you are, we're working on sleep maybe, and then you stay up late one night. You're not going to do that again. The next night, you're going back to normal. Okay? This goes hand in hand with like a quote unquote unbalanced meal, bad meal, unhealthy, whatever it is. Okay, you messed up at lunchtime. Let's say you just had pizza. There was no veggies, barely any protein, just cheese and carbs, right? Which is delicious. Let's be honest. It's so good. But that's what you have. You're not going to say, screw it. The rest of the day is ruined. It doesn't matter. No, your next meal, you're going to make sure you have some veggies, you have more protein in there, you still have some carb. So you're not letting it snowball into the next day or the next habit or the next meal. You're not overcompensating. You're just going right back to normal. That's super, super important. You need to be able to catch yourself when you do that. This is why habit tracking is so important, because then you can see where you quote unquote messed up or weren't consistent, and then make sure it doesn't snowball, right? So imagine if you trip going down the stairs. What do? Do you catch yourself and then keep going down the stairs normally? Or do you completely give up and just throw yourself down the stairs? I know it sounds super crazy, but it's literally what you're doing with your habits. You're like, screw it, just gonna fall down the stairs then. No, you catch yourself and then you go down the stairs normally, right? Or you'll lose, your kids, again, practicing soccer. We just watched the soccer finals last night, so soccer's on the mind. You're watching your kid play soccer. They shoot, they miss the net. Do they just give up and never try to score a goal again? No. You're going to encourage them to keep practicing and get up and try it again, right? But why do we? So those sound like so ridiculous comparisons, but it's not. Why do we treat ourselves so differently when it comes to nutrition and health? And then the next one is the 1% rule. You are just getting 1% closer every single day. If you're trying to make bounds and leaps and do everything at once, it's very easy to get overwhelmed. And if you miss one thing, it's like, I didn't have my veggies. So then screw protein, screw activity. I'm going to stay up late. I'm going to have ice cream for dessert. And then you just do all these things. That doesn't set you up for success. We're just looking to get a little bit better every single day. And that means just being more consistent. Okay? Again, we're putting ballots for that person that we want to be. And the most important part is delayed gratification. That is the queen of all of this. Okay? So most of us do not brush our teeth twice a day because of the immediate gratification, although it does feel great to have nice, clean teeth. We brush our teeth because we want to prevent cavities, right? We don't want to have root canals or smelly breath or stained teeth. The same goes for future issues with our health habits, right? That delayed gratification is far more important than the immediate reward that you might get right now, right? We recognize that this is very important. Yes, we all want to lose weight. Yes, we all want to feel better yesterday. But do you really think another crash diet and limiting your calories and your carbs, doing crazy amounts of exercise is going to somehow give you more energy? No. If it was going to work, it would have worked by now. So we have to delay that gratification. I would love to just jump into the gym today and go back to deadlifting over 200 pounds again. Right? It used to be very easy for me. But I know if I do that now, I'm probably going to hurt myself. And I'm not going to look super fit tomorrow just because I lifted weights today. That takes time. And you have to be okay with that. And most of us are not, which is wild. Because what would you tell your kids if they were trying to do literally anything, achieve anything? You would tell them, practice. It'll pay off in the end. Work hard now so you get the reward later, right? Just because you win this game today doesn't mean you're going to win the championship this year. It can take years to get you there, right? When they're trying to learn to tie their shoes, to print their name, just because you give them a pencil and show them how to do it once doesn't mean they're going to be able to write their name tomorrow. It takes practice and it takes time. You need to delay that gratification. This is why rewarding yourself for the habits and consistency is so important, because otherwise we're so focused on that end result that we're miserable every single day. We're not there yet. And how is that going to help you feel? Not any better. It makes you lose motivation. It makes you not want to do the things anymore, right? So, just delay that. Just delay that gratification. It's so important. So I want you to keep these things in mind when you're establishing your habits and the steps that you need to take on consistent basis to move things forward in the right direction, to hit your goals in 6 to 12 months, right? So to recap, step number 1, make your big outcome goal. What is the thing you want to achieve? 2, what are your habits? What are the things that you have to do on a consistent daily basis to get you that big result? Number 3, make sure it is specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. Step number 4, break down your habit goals into even more smaller things. Okay, I have to be consistent with my nutrition. What does that look like? What do your meals look like? How do we plan this? We got to get our groceries. When are we getting our groceries? How often are we planning? How often are we reflecting? You need to break it down into really small, attainable things. Number 5, identify that deep-rooted why. If you do not do this, you will not be successful because it does not matter enough for you to achieve that result. And this is where people get mad because they're like, no, Steph, I really want to lose weight. I'm like, no, you don't. Because you're still drinking alcohol every night. You're not going to the gym. You're not following your workout program. You're not hitting your nutrition goals. You're not planning your meals. You're not prioritizing protein and veggies. You're not prioritizing your sleep and self-care. We're not eating enough food consistently. You're just guessing and hoping and quote unquote trying, but you're not doing. So until you figure out why it's important and you're able to tell me that clearly, it gets really freaking hard to stick to it. Because when your values are clear, decisions are easy. I value being strong and my health so I can be here for my family, so I can be active, I don't have to be a sideline mom. I'm not sick. My pregnancy is good. I'm healthy. I'm able to do all the things and create memories. That's my values. So anything that doesn't align with those things, it's very easy to say no to because it does not align with my values. So when you say, oh, I want to drink all the time. Okay, so drinking is more important than your fitness goals. That's fine. But you have to be okay with that. And most of you are not. You're like, no. I want to lose weight more than everything in the world. I'm like, no, you don't. You don't. Because when values are clear, decisions are easy. And that's 100% when it comes down to. And then number six, we need to make a plan. So how are you measuring and tracking your habits and your goals? So your nutrition, your activity, your sleep. How often and how are you going to reflect on your habits and all those things to ensure that you're actually doing it? And then how often are you going to adjust? How are you going to put yourself into successful situations to make it more appealing to do the things that you want to do and makes it easier to avoid the things that you do not want to do or that are not conducive to your goals? What habits can you stack? How will you prevent yourself from falling off twice in a row? How do you even know? And how will you reward yourself and when? What are the stipulations there? And then step number 7, do the damn thing. Become this new version of you. Because remember, this is going to involve time. It's time times consistency times your habits equals you reaching your goals and becoming this new version. Okay? It's going to take a longer time if you're not consistent in doing the things. Okay? The more that you are consistent, the shorter that time frame is going to become. The person that I am today, the habits and the routine that I have on a daily basis right now is not the person that I'm going to be at the end of this journey. And the same goes for you. And to me, that's actually pretty damn exciting. That no matter how long it takes, I know it's going to be worth it for me and my family, and it's going to be worth it for you too. So if you feel overwhelmed and you have no idea what kind of exercise you should be doing, how much food you should be eating, when you should be eating, what you should be eating, or what habits you need to actually achieve to reach that end goal, what is a realistic timeline? Whether it's aesthetic goals, performance goals, hormones, blood work, whatever it might be, just message me or book a consultation call. And I will help you figure this out with a place to start, no questions asked, because just starting can be the most tough part. But once you get going and you start learning the things and actually doing the things instead of quote unquote trying, it's incredible what you can achieve. And it's a really, really exciting place to be. I hope you guys all found this super helpful. Hopefully there's tidbits of little things that you can do. And I will be asking you guys to help keep me accountable and checking in. I'll keep information on my journey on my social media as well for you guys. And hopefully that helps you guys stick to things as well. I love you so much. Have a great rest of your day. And I will talk to you soon. Bye.